everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Matthews, and I have been loving just getting to meet new guests. I kind of put out a message like, do you want to share your story? And that has been so rewarding because I love doing that. So if you would like to share your short story, please contact me and let me know. Another really special thing is that me and Christina have finally gotten together. She's our guest today, and we have been, I think, years we've been trying to catch up and get together because from my side, you are just doing amazing things out in industry, and I want people to know about it. So, Christina, without further delay, let's jump in. Tell everybody kind of who you are and what you do.
Well, I'll first start and say that the love is mutual. I love what you've been doing. And so, I mean, the Empowering Women program is just amazing that you have spearheaded that. So kudos to you on that. Okay, who am I? My name's Kristina McMillan. I'm based out of the Twin Cities. I live just northwest of the cities in a city called Maple Grove. I have two kids and I'm a single mom, which I think is a big part of kind of my origin story, I guess. It gives me a lot of my drive. And as far as like what I do professionally, I am between jobs right now, but I'm feeling really close to something amazing happening. So I'm not sad about that in the least. Um, my background is unique in the fact that I came up with a very kind of eclectic career. In high school, I thought I was going to become a welder. That was actually what I was planning for my future. Was not a great student and was fully planning on going into welding after high school. After I took my ACT and basically aced it, I got a 32.
Wow.
I got pushed in the direction of college, which is good and bad, I guess, depending on how you look at it. I went to Iowa State. I got a journalism degree and a marketing degree, so I double majored. And from there, I went into concert production, festival production. For a few years, then became a successful high-end jewelry designer in South Minneapolis and was a partner at a store. The store's still there. I am not. While I was working there, I met a guy, and he was a construction guy. He still is a construction guy, and started showing up on his job sites. And really, that was my first exposure to the industry. So in my late 20s, I just decided to leave a successful career in jewelry and go completely opposite direction and went into construction. And I have never been an on-site person, although I'm very jealous of the people that do work on job sites. If I'd had my druthers, I'd probably go into project management or become a superintendent. And I know I'm not dead yet, but my skill set falls heavily in telling the story of construction and sort of challenging industry leaders to look at the way that they're leading a little bit differently. So over the past 15 years, I've had a few different roles. I started out really focused in marketing and have kind of just organically into more leadership-based roles and have done a lot of work in workforce development, diversity and inclusion, kind of looking at being thought leaders and teaching people in different positions how to lead, and just really advocating for the construction industry and engineering. Um, I can also talk a little bit about Crew Collaborative, which is a
Yes,
nonprofit.
one thing
Yeah,
before we move on, I've kind of got us in gallery view. I'm supposed to have us in speaker view, so I want to shift it over just so I can capture some of these clips of you and your
yeah.
amazing journey. Basically, I want to touch on a couple of things. One is um, welding. Do you ever get to do that now? Like, do you play with it? Do you, we've got so many. It's National Welding Month while we're
Oh,
creating
fun.
this. Yeah, and we have so many in our community, and I'm just curious because they, they're different activities of teaching other people, students and other things, just to get to play in that creative side of you. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I actually I was a little bitter that I did not get to go into welding. I love the industry. That said, when I was in my late 30s, so 20 years after the fact, I went back and took community college and took a welding course. I don't use it, and I probably have forgotten half the stuff, but it was sort of like a to prove to myself type of thing that I could do it. And it's just such an art, honestly. Like I know that, it's used to do some pretty rugged, kind of gritty things, but it's also very cool. And the techniques that are used to do it are just amazing. So I'm really glad that I did that. And I've always said, like, if the bottom falls out of my career, that I would look at becoming a welder or I would look at becoming a heavy equipment operator. Like, those are two things that I would absolutely consider doing and would be happy to do them.
Well,
So,
I totally agree with you. I got to go to Jefferson State here when they were doing hard hats and high heels, which was really fun. But they had it set up where you could, weld just one piece of metal, and I was like, this is a skill. Like this is like a paintbrush almost, right? Like it was just really, really cool. So you are an artist, and you are using that. You've got your jewelry background and you've got your marketing, but you have this appreciation for industry, which we share. And so I've seen you and what you're doing with Crew, and several of our community members actually are part of Crew. So tell us a little bit about that.
so Crew Collaborative was founded, we're going on 4 years now. And I'm tagged or listed as the founder of Crew, but it really was a group of like 12 of us who founded the organization. And it really started as a women in construction group. Crew actually originally stood for as Construction Retreat Empowering Women. And so we had our first retreat, and there was 12 of us that were there, 11 or 12. And what we decided at our first construction retreat empowering women is that we did not want to be a women in construction organization. Um, all of us had had really positive mentoring or just work relationships or even just personal relationships with men in our lives. And we wanted to not necessarily silo ourselves, but we wanted to be more about everybody in construction. We feel like if we're doing it correctly and if we're marketing and talking about construction in the correct way, that we will naturally get more men or more women and minorities into the industry because it's just a natural solution to what's happening within the space. And so that's really the premise that we've been built on. Uh, if any of us have been told like how far it would go so quickly, I think we probably would have been a little bit more scared, but excited. It's been a lot of work, but it's been really impactful. So we have some great programs that we've launched that work directly into high schools. A lot of our most of the impact we're making is online, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram, and that's really by using marketing in a unique way. We just really feel like in order to really create change, we have to show more imagery of and that normalizes men and women working on job sites together and men, women, and minorities working on job sites together. We don't need more graphics. We don't need more programs or initiatives. We need more visibility.
Yeah, actually, people working together,
Yeah.
100%. And I think that I love it. I love the concept. I love that it was founded by a group of women and very strong, empowered women. So I do believe in working collaboratively and making sure men and women work together, like you said. And I think that's the marketing side of us, but also it's the hard part to get the imagery that you need to shift change, and you have to be intentional about that. You have to ask and include and be willing to say, this is what I need. That was one of the hardest things at the beginning, when we shifted to the magazine. I remember looking at this like, this is not a very diverse cover, and I'm asking my girlfriends, my women of color, I'm like, what do I need to do? And part of it was, you've got to have them on your committees, on, speaking at your conferences, going out in the field with you. They have to be there. Really, it can't just be a photo op. To your point, get out there and you make things happen, and then that's when you're going to capture those photos.
It's
So
been one of our biggest challenges with crew has actually been uh, getting more minorities and diversifying more into our imagery and into our organization, right? It's a problem. And since we're reaching into the industry for the people, the industry doesn't have any sort of that we have diversity, but it's very minimal, and so that's something that it's like, we have to dig deeper, and it's going to be like more of a wave, a slow burn, I guess I'll say, like getting these people into the industry and really making them feel welcome and appreciated. So
yes,
it's
but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. I've had so many great relationships made from just that, just by the intention of
Mhm.
being more inclusive. And so I do challenge everyone to do that and to look for that person, and ask them, how can you be more involved? And sometimes it is as simple as asking, like, we need some more imagery. We want you to be able to look at this and know that you belong. And I think that's really important. So tell me, ideally, right, on that marketing side of things, how do people support, right? So how can we get involved? How can we support if, let's say, we're not actually on the job site? Is there a place for us to get involved with that? Tell us more.
So crew is really focused as well as on on highlighting the fact that you do not have to work on a job site to work in construction, right? So everybody in construction. So you can have a project management role, or you can work as a heavy equipment operator or a laborer, but you can also be a salesperson. You can be in marketing. You can be in leadership. You can be in estimating. I mean, there's so many jobs and so many opportunities. And I don't necessarily think construction's for everybody, but I will say that I think there's a spot for anybody who wants to be involved. And so anybody who's looking to get engaged with crew specifically, we have an ambassador program that we run twice a year where we do a 4-week training on how to speak to like the recruitment message within your community. We really seek to empower individuals to go out and impact other people directly. Um, I'm a big believer, and one of the things that we really focus on with crew is that you can have impact on one person, and that's enough, right? So like when we have our high school talks, and we call them classroom talks, and when we put together a group to talk to the high schoolers, sometimes the presenters will come back and be like, wow, I really felt like none of the kids were engaged in that conversation. And it's like, well, first of all, they're high schoolers, but second of all, if you have impact on one person in that classroom, that whole hour-long time was worth it, right? So, all you need is one kid to say, wow, like that person is in their 20s, they are running equipment, and they just paid off their first house at the age of 24. Like that's enough if you can have that type of impact. And even if you're just changing the impression somebody has of construction, because we do have a lot of negative stigmas surrounding our industry, and so even if you're just changing somebody's mindset on what construction means, it's impactful.
Absolutely. And that work is so important just to get the knowledge out there that these careers exist. And like you said, across the board, whatever you can think of as far as a job, there's probably a category within construction or
Mhm.
definitely within the industry as a whole. And so I'm excited for that, and that you kind of got boots on the ground, from your program kicking off. And then you do still want that career of telling stories for the industry. Is it specifically the construction industry?
Sorry,
Like,
career of telling stories.
yeah, so like you're telling your skill set, kind of telling
Yes.
stories for the construction industry. Kind of looking, I know you said you were kind of in between
Oh
jobs
yeah.
working. Are you kind of focused in the construction industry, or are you, looking to go outside of that?
I would love to stay in construction. Everything I'm looking at right now is construction based. I'd say the farthest I'm looking is engineering, which is very much still aligned with the industry. Um, I am being very intentional with this search because I did only stay at my last job for 18 months, and I really don't want to do this again. Anybody who's been in a job search knows, right? It sucks. And I want to find somewhere to retire from. Like that's the dream, right? I'm in my early 40s. Like I have plenty of time. Um, I'm focused really on leadership right now, and that has been a unique shift for me. I've always kind of felt like I had to focus like on a marketing role or something that was more of a supporting role. And what I did learn in my last position was I'm great at leading. They put me into a leadership role. I love mentoring. I love strategizing for business. And I think that, as a woman, we kind of sort of, make ourselves smaller and we don't necessarily reach as far as we potentially could just because that's the way we were raised, especially people my age. And I think that, and older, we've kind of been like taught to sort of like, I don't know, put ourselves in a box or define what we are. And so now I'm just redefining myself as a leader and being okay with that confidence to say that I'm good at it. So
Yeah, you are, and you definitely are leading. I mean, you are the founder of Crew Collaborative because you are their leader, and I've seen that you're leading that movement, that conversation. But you can do that for companies as well as your family, right? You're sitting there leading those children of yours, and also your community and growth. And so I'm excited for you, whatever great company picks you up, smart company, and just I think I'm glad that you have created this and you're continuing to work on it. And like you said, it is not um, just a couple hours. This is kind of in you, who you are, and how you're going to develop
Mhm.
people. And that just it falls right in line with leadership and the leaders that we need right now. We talk a lot about leadership on the podcast, and going through Leadership Launchpad with Rob Calvarosi and Susan Hobson. It's just this is what I learned that this is what we need is better leaders that can appreciate how to make people feel like they belong for one, and inclusion as far as like listening to our people, being there for them, and opening up a safe space to talk. So you definitely have done that, and it's just clear. It's clear, definitely on the socials, and that's how I've found you is just through an actual post. And so I'm very very happy about that. Is there anything that you want to just leave our listeners with?
When we're talking about leadership, I think it's important for the people that are in leadership roles to understand that it's a privilege. I think that, when you're going through the steps of climbing the corporate ladder or getting to the top, um, sometimes it's very easy to lose sight of why you're doing it or who you're supposed to be doing it for. And I just would encourage anybody that is in a leadership role to kind of be self-aware and take that time to step back or ask other people's input on how you're doing, so that you can continually improve and make sure that you're having a positive impact because it really is. It's a privilege. And I would also encourage leaders to look within your company at who the thought leaders might be, because there are people who are influencing your company at every level, and if there are people who are naturally leaders or other people naturally look to for guidance, then empower those individuals to do more and help them actually become like a leader. I wish that people had done that for me earlier in my career so that I could really be doing at a higher level than I am right now. So
Well, you're definitely causing that ripple effect in your space and allowing that from the start, people in school, children, all the way up to your crew that you have trained to be more effective. And so, looking forward to seeing where you go next. We'll be following your journey and cheering you on. And I do hope one day to have you at an Empowering Women conference. We let men in there too.
yeah,
And so
I
you
know.
don't have to feel like it's a, man hater thing. It's absolutely not. But just bringing the talented women together to celebrate, and you're absolutely one of them. So
I
thank you
appreciate
for
it.
your time and saying yes to sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.